everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host Miss KK and this is The Way. So today we are reviewing the series I watched on Netflix, which is The Smart Money Woman. I really enjoyed the series and it's because it's played by young professional black women, so it's so relatable in so many ways. Black text was playing a significant role there, friendship circles were being tested, and there was so much that I could relate to. And if you haven't done so, please really go out and watch it on Netflix, or at least go and grab the book and read it. I personally haven't read the book, but I am enjoying the series so far. So far, there's only one season out, and there's about 7 episodes in the first season. And I did check out the Instagram page. It looks like they are working on season 2, and it's going to be out anytime soon. So I am super excited for that. And the other thing that really got me excited with this is because it actually talks about family, personal, and business finance, and that is what we are all about on this channel. So if you're new here, thank you so much. And if you're already a returning subscriber, an awesome appreciation. So the lessons I learned from The Smart Money Woman, and I'm only going to speak of 5. There's quite a lot, and I'm also not going to spoil it for you. So if you're still going to watch it, please feel free to watch it and feel free to continue this video, because I'm not really going to speak so much about the series. I'm just going to speak about the money lessons that I've learned. And as I watch the series, I can see the ladies evolving with their financial journey. I see them starting off in very messy financial situation and they work their way up, and it actually encouraged me to start putting some of the things I've learned in practice, so that when season 2 comes, I can also evolve and grow with them. And I personally do think that it's really a good wake-up call for a lot of young professionals, especially if you're just starting to work or if you're just starting a family, because there's quite a lot of dynamics that are being played out in that video. And the fact that they're actually being done in the social settings make it seem like it's not really educational, but you actually pick up a lot of things as the series progresses. So the first thing that I learned from that is the association that you have with your friends and colleagues, etc., and the authenticity in that circles can make or break your financial journey. And I'm saying this because often we are in friendship circles that are putting pressure on us, especially when we are all young professionals. Let me just take a typical example of my friendship circles. We are all CAs. We all know how much money each of us make. So we get into the situation of when my friend buys a fancy car, or when my friend buys a fancy house, we feel like we are missing out, or we feel like we are behind. So we feel the edge of trying to level up with them, and that whole thing really gets us into trouble. And most of the time we are in this friendship circle, we may be making sort of the same amount of money, and because we make the same amount of money, we know we shouldn't be struggling. So when we see one of our friends struggling, we don't pause to think and ask, why are you struggling if you make this much money? And with the one thing that I liked about this friendship circle is the one girl had the courage to call her friend out and say, why are you broke if you earn this much money? And first she was in denial, saying no, she's not broke, she's going through a rough patch, etc. Until she came to a realization that she needs to own up to the fact that she's broke, and she needs to face where her money is going, so that she can be able to work on a plan as to where she needs to divert her money. So my point being, if you're in a friendship circle that is draining you financially, you need to evaluate whether you need to come clean with your friends and tell them not to put so much pressure on you, or maybe you need to just cut ties with this friendship circle if they're not serving you, if they're distracting you from your current phases and your current goals in life. So that's my first lesson that I learned from The Smart Money Woman. Lesson number 2 is we need to deal with our inherited money values, and we need to identify those which benefits us and those which are actually a hindrance, or those that are keeping us from growing. And I'm speaking this in the scenario of the lady was so upset that her mother was a pensioner and she was going about solving everyone's problem in the village, and at the end of the day, she doesn't have the money and they have to chip in from a black tax context to help her. And she didn't understand why her mother continued doing that. And the one friend actually put it in perspective for her and said to her that what your mother is doing is no different from what you're doing. She actually believes that helping others around her is consistent with the Ubuntu principle. It's consistent with it takes a village to raise a child. It's consistent with God's principle that we must help those around us. So it makes her feel good. In the same way, the way you are going on the soft trip, taking out your friends on a spa date, doing your makeups, going shopping, you are doing that because it makes you feel good in your friendship circle. So you are basically doing the same thing. So I think it really speaks volume in the sense that you need to identify that which you are doing, that may be inherited from your parents, that is actually not a good money values to have, that you perhaps need to drop. And also you need to start seeing what other people are doing differently so that you can borrow from how other people are raised in order to help you grow on your journey, because you can't keep doing the same thing over and expect different results. So that's the second money lesson that I learned. Number 3, you need to identify your weak points and identify when you are having a relapse on this money cleanse and who is going to help you accountable on that journey. So this is in the situation where when you're starting on your journey, you need to find out where is your money going, where is your money leaking. And in my first video I actually did sometimes last year was identify your money leaks in 2021. So at this point in time, you must identify what is actually leaking your money. And when you identify that, you need to be deliberate and intentional about not going back to those old habits, because those relapses will derail you on your progress that you've been making. So the one girl identified her money leaks were shopping, designer bags, expensive spa treatment, makeup, shopping, etc. And she was deliberate about making sure that she's not getting an ashwabi for every wedding. She's not going to, go to spa treatment. She's going to do them at home, etc. And then when she met a guy, she was so excited, fell in love, and obviously she wanted a new dress for every date. She wanted, a new look for every date. So she went back, and her one friend actually called them and said, guys, you can't keep doing the same things. You can't keep going to those things, because you're just gonna sort of undo the progress you've made. So it's like you take 3 steps forward and you take 2 backwards. So at the end of the day, you're not really progressing, you're just going in that circle. So having that accountability in your circle, knowing what your money weaknesses are, knowing when you relapse, and recentering and refocus to make sure that you're actually progressing will go a long way. And number 4, ensure that which you cannot afford to lose. And I've done so many videos on insurance. I've done short-term insurance, life insurance. You can check out my insurance folder. And basically it comes down to there are certain losses that will happen in your life that you can't afford to carry if you don't have insurance. So in this instance, this lady's mother's house burnt down. She, number 1, was dead broke. She didn't even have emergency funds to chip in. Her brothers luckily had to chip in, and they didn't have property insurance. And the guy that she was dating at the time was like, surely that shouldn't be a problem because insurance is gonna take care of it. And she was like so embarrassed, like, insurance, how? Yeah, so it's really things that we need to learn and need to engage with our parents. So you might have your house insured, but is your parents' house insured? You might have your life insured, but does your parents have life insurance? Does your siblings have life insurance? So if we don't have this conversation within our circles, we are not going to progress. So that is the 4th money lesson. And lastly, educate yourself when you're starting on this investment journey. And I don't mean go to the investment brokers to go and educate yourself there, because trust me, if you go to a dentist and you ask them if your teeth need cleaning, they will tell you definitely. If you go to the optometrist and you ask them if you need specs, most likely they're going to sell you the specs, because they're in the business of selling the product. So you must start independently doing your educational background, identify the types of products, identify the types of asset classes, identify the types of investment that you're interested in. Maybe speak to a friend that's more knowledgeable about this thing, so that when you go to the bankers, you go to the brokers, so you go to the investment planners, you have an idea, and they are just guiding you and helping you mold that plan. You're not going to be forming that plan for the first time with them, because this is where we get trapped in products we don't understand. This is where we get trapped with product with hectic fees. This is where we get with our investment portfolio too clustered in a specific class of assets, and there's no diversification involved. In when the market crashes, we lose all our money. So all I'm saying is take the time and learn, and take it baby step at a time. Don't start with the product of all junk trades. Maybe start a little bit with shares, start a little bit with property, start a little bit with unit trust, start a little bit. Don't start go full force now. You're not even going to go out, because everything is just going into investment. Because if you're starting at that high of a speed, you're likely going to burn out and feel like it's not worth it and going to have a relapse, or you're going to end up with things you don't understand that may cost you significantly a lot of money. So really, I enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to the 2nd season. And I would like to thank the producers of that series. That is really a good series, relatable, and really transforming a lot of lives in African women. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is all I had from today's discussion. Until next time, it is goodbye, and let's keep learning.